Hello everyone, and welcome to our session today on tuning up your ERP system with corporate performance management. Joining us today is Richard Pedigo from CALUMO. And before I pass it over to Richard, I would like to remind you that the session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library later this week for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box. We'll get those called out and answered at the end of our presentation. So now I'll pass it on to Richard to begin our presentation.
Angie, thank you very much. Wow, we've got really a nice group of people here. Thank you for investing the time, each and every one of you, and allowing me to present the CALUMO Corporate Performance Management Suite. My name is Rick Pedigo. I'm Vice President of Alliance, and I manage our strategic partners. And Innovia has kindly set up this webinar today, and I want to go through and do a short slide presentation, and it'll be an introduction to the market that we serve, and then I'll get right into the product demonstration, and then finishing out the product demonstration, another short presentation and a Q&A session. So as you're going along, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. You can put them in the chat area, and we'll address them as when we get to the Q&A session. So today, I just want to make sure that as I go through the process of describing CALUMO, demonstrating CALUMO, that I really focus on just a few things. Number one is the flexibility and ease of use. The way in which our product is architected. It is built by accountants for accountants, and as you see, it's some, I don't want to say simplicity because that makes it sound like it's a simple product. It is a very powerful product, but the simplicity with which you can do things and the way in which you can improve processes is absolutely amazing. Our goal is to have a digital transformation in not only finance and accounting, but also throughout the corporation with the way in which operations and various processes are automated. What I mean by a digital transformation is that we will be able to automate reporting, forecasting, budgeting, data visualization, and get the information out to virtually anybody from any place at any time. This is all facilitated by the fact that CALUMO utilizes an advanced design data warehouse. It's built on Microsoft Analytics Services, and this allows us to collect information from virtually any source, not just the accounting data in an ERP system, but bringing in data, and I'll explain that as we get into it. Additionally, our solution is a fully integrated all-in-one solution. It's not what you buy a module here or a user there. The system itself is fully capable of doing all aspects of corporate performance management. And when we get into it, you will see how smoothly we can transition from reporting to forecasting to budgeting to data visualization. So let's talk about the company a bit. CALUMO as a company has been in business now for 16 years. Our worldwide corporate headquarters are in Sydney, Australia, and our US headquarters are in Dallas, Texas. We also participate in a number of surveys. Some of you may have heard of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. It's Gartner's a very broad-based marketing research firm. But we participate in one that's very, very specific to business intelligence from a company out of Europe called BARC. And they run the world's largest BI survey every year, and we've participated in it for 4 years. During the participation, we've done extremely well in some very important areas, not only to our business partners like Innovia, but also to individual customers like price to value, the true business benefit that CALUMO brings to overall enterprises and corporate operations, and that the level of satisfaction from our customers is extremely high, and we're actually ranked as #1 throughout the BI industry in that. And that throughout the entire process, from the time you first talk to CALUMO all the way through the implementation, training, and then in post-implementation support, we have done extremely well, and we're a leader in those categories. And the product is both a on-prem product, and it has a cloud instance, and we also have access to the system through mobile access. And so I'll be demonstrating all those capabilities. So it's a very important aspect for us to continue to do this, because BARC not only gives us gives you a view from an analyst perspective, but it also includes content from our users. So it's very, very balanced. So if you would like to get a copy of that, you can go to calumo.com and download a copy. It's very exhaustive, but it's very complete, and it will assist you in really taking a look at how CALUMO fits in the market and how competitive it is against all the other BI and corporate performance management solutions in the market today. I've been doing this for a long time. I used to work at Ernst & Young. I was a partner on the consulting services side. And during my tenure there, when I would speak with corporate executives, the common problem that they were trying to address was to improve the information that they were getting out of their systems so that they could better run the company. They had too many siloed systems, too many versions of the truth. One system saying revenue was this number, another system saying it was a different number. Being able to not aggregate data and look at it from an enterprise level, but just from a point solution. And so as we would go through this analysis, we would focus on, as we do today at CALUMO, on putting together all the data from the enterprise, not just the ERP system, into a centralized data warehouse, and being able to have very fast, flexible access to that information, and being able to design and access the information with things you're very familiar with. I'll be showing you how we design the report templates and budgets and everything else that you'll be using in Excel, because we're fully integrated to Microsoft Office. And additionally, how simple it is to be able to access this information through a web portal on virtually any device that can connect to the internet under full security. And our customers are realizing these benefits because now they have a vast reduction in the processing time that it takes to get reports out, oftentimes being able to save hundreds of hours per year in just areas like budgeting. Not having to mash up reports from individual areas, like bringing on Excel spreadsheets from one system and another and mashing them together into a report. And so it also reduces a vast amount of potential risk for errors. So this is a typical environment in which most of our prospects find themselves before they bring in CALUMO. So from Microsoft Dynamics, they would have lots of information, sometimes running multiple companies within the ERP, having outside systems, perhaps HRMS or payroll from like ADP or Paychex, bringing in sales information from Microsoft CRM or Salesforce, perhaps having inventory management or e-commerce data that they want to bring in. And how you bring all this information together is very, very problematic, because you're using a variety of tools, most of which FRX, Forecaster, and now Management Reporter do not have a future. Management Reporter has been announced that no future enhancements will be made to the product, just bug fixes. And so people resort to using native Excel, or perhaps they'll go to IT and use SSRS, which is really a very powerful tool, but not an end user tool. So once the information is aggregated into a report, then the next problem is how do you distribute it? In today's world, people want information at their fingertips. Everybody wants everything online real time. In today's world, if you don't have these tools, you perhaps have to email a report out or turn it into a PDF and mail it out that way, or post it on a folder or SharePoint. But whatever it is, it's not dynamic. And in most cases, you have to be on the corporate network to be able to get the information. So all of these stages as you're going through present their own set of unique issues. With CALUMO, those issues go away. First of all, the information that we are going to be working with resides in the data warehouse. We can bring in information from virtually any source, and the data warehouse can be refreshed at precisely the needs of each individual customer. It could be once a minute, once an hour, once a day, and it can be done by data source. And additionally, you can, maybe having a month-end closing, you can refresh the data warehouse manually, and it's very fast because it only updates the information that's been changed. Unlike other tools that perhaps only hit the general ledger, you can now hit all sub-ledger information within the accounting system, as well as all the transactional data. And you're also able to bring in information from virtually any source, and it all is worked and managed within a single, all-in-one, fully integrated environment. When the information, the reports, the forecasts, the budgets have been created and they need to be published, they can be published out to virtually any device, or any device can access them through the web portal. As I pointed out, we're both in the cloud, and it's Microsoft Azure, and we're on-prem. If you're on-prem, you would be going in through your firewall and the internet, and it would all be protected under massive security that would allow only the information that a person is authorized to see to be able to be provided to them. But now you've got, because of web access through the internet, now you have 24/7, virtually anywhere in the world, access to the information. You don't have to be on your corporate network, and you're not going to find yourself in a situation where you ever don't have the information that you need. So hopefully we've generated a lot of questions now, and we can see exactly from an operational point of view how CALUMO brings very smooth operation potential to an organization. So let's go out and actually take a look at the product. What I have now is a dashboard, and this could be a typical landing page for an end user. On the left-hand side, we would have the library of items that would be available to this person. And this is just an example of a dashboard composed of many, many different components. So let's start here. This can be a summary information. This could be KPIs. You can see that you can have drop downs and change the information, and you'll notice everything automatically updates. You can look at transactional data. So I can go here and I can drill down to my income. Once I have the information, I in fact can then sort it by a variety of ways, and slice and dice the information and do further analysis. I also have the capability to have dynamic data visualized in graphical forms, and I'm going to show you some very, very nice graphical formats. As we pointed out, the data is dynamic. You can, throughout CALUMO, whether you're in a dashboard such as this, or you're in a report or a forecast or budget, you can add comments. And speaking of budgets, we have a complete workflow to assist people with managing their budget cycle. So here we have a workflow diagram. CALUMO supports, because we're Excel based, conditional formatting. So here on the Olympics, I can see that, which is the one we're going to be using. Pat Allen, this is in progress. If it was not in progress, it could be set as not started. And we'll be checking back to go through this in a moment. Here we have some notes. Please see the notes. If I wanted to click on that, I could actually add notes of my own. So this is a example of a dashboard that can be put together, but let's now take a look at some individual parts. So here we have some examples of a mobile device. So if you wanted to look at a graph, or if you wanted to look at a report, you could do so on a tablet or on your phone, maybe if you have a larger phone, and you'll notice that you can drill down in these charts as well. And the same applies to any report. So here I have a report that is on my labor, and I want to drill down and take a look at my labor rates, and I can do that here, and you'll notice that I can report in not just US dollars, but in foreign currencies. And we also fully support currency conversion. So let's take a look at some dashboards. All the dashboards I'm going to show you have been developed using the CALUMO graphics design tool. And so they're not just restricted to have bar charts or pie charts or line diagrams. And you'll notice here that I have drop-down capabilities, so I can go in and take a look at various periods. I can look at various products. I can drill down further in those products and see a variety of pieces of information. It's not all static information like you would find in a Excel graphic. This is an example of how I can, from a chart, from a dashboard, be able to actually drill through to the underlying report. So now I have my income statement. Within the income statement here, I have KPIs, I have comments, and again, I can drill down to, as I did before, the information. But let's look at it a little differently. Let's say that I find that now I am over budget for June in my labor costs. So now I want to really interrogate that particular line item, that particular cell, the contents. So now I have the ability to come in and say, okay, so what is my budget variance for labor for June? Now I'm responsible for the North American US operations, so I can come in here and explore in more detail where my budget variance is really coming from. I can look at the central area, they're doing fine. I can look at northeast, they seem to be a little over. Northwest, they're also a little over. Southeast, wow. So now I can really interrogate this information down to a very low level of detail. So now I can contact the divisional manager in the Southeast and find out why for this particular month, they are so much over budget. I also have the ability to have dynamic dashboards that can really give me a lot of analysis into my company and my customers. This is an example of a retail operation to where we're seeing that televisions are driving our largest amount of revenue. And as expected, we're selling fewer televisions than we are speakers or phones. But let's take a look at televisions. One of the things we're considering doing as a company is, since plasma TVs are no longer really leading edge technology, we're considering dropping them from our product line. But it still looks like we are selling quite a few plasma TVs. So let's come down and look at our customers. Who's actually buying them? So it looks like Waterfall Hotels is buying the majority of our plasma TVs. So as a good customer, before we actually consider dropping the plasma TV from our offering, we should probably have a meeting with Waterfall Hotels, find out what their future plans are, and perhaps actually upgrade them to a different type or model of TV. We also have the capability to take a look at a wide variety of different products. We can, in this example, we're looking at bicycles and what kind of bicycles are being purchased and where are they being purchased. So all of this information from a data visualization point of view, all these charts and graphs have been created with the CALUMO uh, uh, graphics design tool. But the really nice thing about it is that we are now combining information across a variety of systems, not just bringing in information from the ERP. So you're really tuning up the ERP to allow it to have be what it does extremely well, and that is process transactions. But now you're combining those that transactional and counting data with other data and being able to really see the entire enterprise and be able to make better decisions by driving the information out to a variety of people. When it comes to creating reports, since we are designing them in Excel, there is virtually no report that cannot be built. So here we have balance sheets, cash flows, income statements. An example in the income statement is here, labor expense that might be coming in from an outside labor source like ADP. Travel expense perhaps might be coming in from a web-based travel expense system. We have inventory and we have other items that perhaps are coming in, but it's all made available. We can sort income information by location, and again we have the opportunity to do drop downs, so you don't have to be in a situation of just having tab after tab. You can look directly in a single report. So let's move on to some planning. So these are some examples of types of plans that payroll, excuse me, forecast and budgets that you can put together. One might be a payroll plan, to where you are going to go in and do your HR planning. Perhaps another might be a sales forecast, where you're going to have a salesperson come in and forecast what they're going to be selling. Or you may wish to have something that's really a consolidated view. In this example, we've combined expense budgeting with sales forecasting and HR planning. So let's take a look at how all this can tie together. In a sales forecast, now I can go out and enter in my quantities that I am going to be projecting that will be sold over this period of time. So I am going to project that I have a 6-month sale window of 12,000 of the phones, and I want them to be spread evenly. And so now I've spread them, and when I update the input form, you'll notice down here that it has calculated all my revenue. It has calculated my cost of goods, my sales cost, and also the gross profit on these individual items. I could come in and say that in December and January, sale on TV, so we expect to sell 4,000 of those. Also, we'll just our spreading method would be, well, just keep it even and update that. And so now it goes through. So you get the idea. I can go through and I know here that we have a steady state. We're going to sell 24,000 of these across the period, and it will just evenly distribute them out, calculate all of the sales items, and bring it all together. So as I'm going through and doing my sales forecast, I can just enter this, and now when I go back to my consolidated sheet, everything is updated and it's all in a single place. So let's go down and take a look at HR planning. So in this particular input form, the manager that would be responsible for this area would only see the people that they would have responsibility for doing HR planning for, and that would apply to all budget forms, all reports, all forecasts. So let's go in and see how I might be in a situation of doing some HR planning. I know Mike is going to be in this role for the full year. So one way I can do it is go in and make Mike a person that is going to be in that role for each and every month. And now it automatically populates his salary. And also down here, it puts together all of the employee benefits, the cost associated with those. And so now you can see that the real cost of having Mike in that role is $174,000. And additionally, his cost is being allocated out over two different departments because he has oversight and works with those two departments. So all those costs are allocated out. I can come in and do the same thing with Kim. Kim is going to take on some new responsibilities this year. And so I'm going to give Kim a raise, and I'm going to spread that raise over the period of time. And you'll notice that everything is updated. Now, my freight manager and planning manager here, I'm not planning on bringing that individual on until the December timeframe. So I can, starting in December, I want to hire that individual, but I want to make the plans now for my planning purposes for budgeting. And now the salary has been properly allocated to reflect that the person will be on for 6 months, and then all the costs have been correctly allocated and calculated out. So when I finish with this, again, I go back to my consolidated sheet, and now everything is updated. Now, as we pointed out initially, we were going to be looking at advertising, and it said take a look at the notes. And so the note says that for my ads, I want to use last year's actuals for this year's total budget amount. So I have last year's actuals listed here. That is $45,000, and I have $45,000 left. So for expenses, I can come in and say, okay, for my TV ads, I'm going to spend $12,000 this year. We're going to do that just each and every month, and so I'm going to spend $1,000 a month. And so now I've got $33,000 left. I know that I'm going to have a customer event, and the customer event is going to be a customer appreciation event in December. We're going to spend $5,000 for that. And so I come in and do that particular expense here. Now I have $28,000. So you can see as I go through, I can put in all my line item detail. I have the choice of my spreading methods. I can come in and do even 445 last year, quarterly, however I would like to do it. And so I would work through my entire expense forecast, my sales unit forecast, my HR planning forecast. And when I'm done, here is the drop down. So when I would first start it, remember it came in as not started. When I am done, I would send it as submitted. And what this does is it would lock this particular input form from any further changes and send notification to the budget manager that I have finished my budget. I'm going to take a little deviation here and go back and look at the workflow associated with the system. And we can go back and see that the workflow for Olympics is now submitted. And the reason we're able to do this is because everything is real time. It's all stored in the data warehouse. And so now the budget manager has been notified that I have submitted the budget. They can go in and either approve it or reject it. If it's rejected, I get notified that the budget has been rejected and notes can be added. And so let me come back to here. Notes can be added, and they would be over here on the side. So over here, I can come back to, let me just refresh this since the demo system, and the next person would probably like to be able to input information. But I can come back over here and I can add notes or change notes. When it comes to types of budgets or planning that we can do, there is virtually no limit to the type of forecast or budgets, rolling forecasts, product sales budgets, all types of forecasts. So now let me move to a couple other types of reports. Everybody has receivables, and just an example of an aging report for my payables. And so here are my payables, and everybody hopefully has receivables. And so now I have my receivables report and where they are, and what how they are spread, and here's an analysis looking out for my various customers coming in and all the days that have been in place for my receivables. So what have I done today? So what I've done is put together, show you the mobile aspects of the system. I've shown you some dashboards, the interactivity of the dashboards, the types of dashboards that we can put together. I've shown you a lot of different financial reports. I've shown you planning. And so now what I want to do is I want to actually go in and create a short report and simple report using CALUMO. Now I am in the Office 365 space, and so you'll notice that this is standard Excel, and I now have the CALUMO tab. And so in the CALUMO tab, I have a number of functions, and one of the functions, it would be, when I first open it up, would be to sign in. Well, I've already signed in, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to browse, and this is going to connect me out to the CALUMO instance. So here I have a variety of capabilities. I have recent reports that I've done, my apps, my library, but where I'm going to go to is data. So what this is going to allow me to do is to select the information, in this case from SQL Analysis Services. I'm going to pick the company, AdventureWorks, and I'm going to pick the cube, and I'm going to use the Finance Cube. We use cubes because, number one, they're extremely fast, and number two, we do all the work behind the scenes, so you never have to involve IT in either the creation or the management of the cubes. So now I have here my measures and my dimensions. I'm going to expand my dimensions out, and here are my slicers. This is where I'm going to put in my drop downs and my rows and columns. We call this a grid. Some people may refer to it as a palette. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move up fiscal year, and then I want to move up department, organization, and scenario as my drop downs. For my rows, I'm going to bring over my dimension of natural accounts. And for my columns, I'm going to bring over month of year. Now my demo system is set up on CALUMO's cloud, and I just want you to see how fast we're able to access the information. That is, if I can bring it up, there we go. So notice how quickly over the internet I am able to access this information and populate this spreadsheet very, very fast. So now I have the data that I want to work with, and now I'm going to pick the period that I want to work with. So I'm going to pick 2006. And now comes the magic. This is when I am going to link this particular data to an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to send this to Excel, and when I open my Excel spreadsheet, my data is here. Now I'm active back to the CALUMO system and the data warehouse. So as I expand this, you'll notice that I can now come in and expand the areas that I would be interested in including in my report. My labor expense, my travel expenses, my marketing. So you get a general idea that now I'm in Excel. I can do any Excel function on the data that's on this sheet. I want to insert a line here. I'll merge across. I want to put a title on this, and I'll put sample report, if I could spell. I want to center it. I want to increase the size of the font. I want to bold it. So you get the idea. We are in Excel. We can do virtually anything that that you would do just in any normal Excel spreadsheet. You can create new tabs. You can put formulas on these fields. But for our purposes here, I'm going to say this is exactly the format of the report that I want to create. So now I can come over to the CALUMO tab, and I have the choice of publishing to public, which means that every authorized CALUMO user would be able to see this report, or I can publish private. And private means I can send the report to an individual, I can send it to a department, or to a group. But before I actually publish the report, I want to show you how simple it is to make a dashboard or a chart. I'm opening up the CALUMO design tool. I'm going to select the same exact cube that I used before to select the information. And now my chart designer is going to open up here, hopefully very soon. Let me see what's going on here. Let me go back and do this again for some reason. My chart designer is, let me select a cube. Okay, I apologize for that. Don't know why my chart designer is not opening, but it's not. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, but first what I want to do is actually publish this report. So I'm going to publish the report. And so now what has happened is I have sent the report out to CALUMO and it's available through a web browser where I am right now. And you'll notice that here I have my report. I can come back and look at a variety of things. I can change my my report date. There's no information there. That's good. I can come in and look at my, go down and expand this back as to where it was before. I can, without having to run another report, I can look at a budget. I can look at a budget variance. I can come back here. I can let's go down, look at labor. I can drill down to the transactions with my labor costs. I can organize that by department and by account. And so now you're able to see I can slice and dice this information pretty much any way that that I wish. I can do a lot of further analysis as I did before. I could drill down and interrogate this specific cell or any other cell that's in the area. So what I've just shown you is I went in and I brought out the CALUMO data. I brought out the CALUMO data. I think we're going through an update right now is what's happening on our demo system. Timing is everything. I selected the CALUMO data I wanted. I brought it into an Excel spreadsheet. From Excel, I formatted the report to precisely the way I wanted it. I was able to then publish that report, and the report is now available out to the people who are authorized to see it under full security in the web browser. So let's head back to the presentation and show you how the CALUMO architecture is all put together. Using the data warehouse, as I've pointed out, we can bring in information from virtually any source, not just the accounting data and not just general ledger, but subledger. Bringing in sales information, HR, Google Analytics, bring it in from spreadsheets, whatever it might be. The product can run in the Azure cloud or on-prem, and exactly the same code set and exactly the same amount of functionality. Additionally, what I was demonstrating to you was how we create templates using Excel and how easy we transition and are fully integrated between CALUMO to Excel and then from Excel back to CALUMO. What I didn't show you, but what we have the capability of doing, is we're also fully integrated to Word and to PowerPoint, which means that if I create something in CALUMO, I can input it or put it into a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. So let's say that you have a board meeting or you have an executive briefing book, and you've created this and the content from CALUMO is placed in that document or spreadsheet, or excuse me, or presentation. It is linked back to the CALUMO system. So when it is time to give the presentation, all you have to do is refresh the information and it will automatically update the Word document or the PowerPoint presentation with the current information that's in the system. And remember, from a refreshing point of view, you could refresh it once a minute, once an hour, once a day, whatever you need to refresh. From a presentation capability, virtually any device that can gain access to the internet can have full access to the CALUMO system under complete security. And from a reporting outcomes point of view, there's virtually nothing that we can't create. Ad hoc queries, reports, budget, input forms, whatever it might be, and being able to fully automate all this information. So we talked about how to take your current ERP system and really enhance it and make it better. It is through the availability of data. It's through the availability of one all-in-one solution. It's through the integration with Microsoft Office using Excel to develop the templates and being able to access that information via a web browser under complete security. We chose to host our system on Microsoft Azure for a number of reasons. Number one, we're a Microsoft Gold certified partner for business intelligence, analytics, cloud application development, but also the fact that our solution is not verticalized. So we sell across virtually all industries. And Microsoft has developed standards that support several industries. We haven't come across one yet that is not supported. Additionally, we adhere to the AICPA SOC 2 Type 1 compliancy, which means that our processes have been audited, and that we go through a very rigorous annual update and validation of our processes, and have all the employees, including myself, go through exhaustive training on how to make sure that everything is secure in our environment. That means email, data exchanges, managing companies' data, everything that you could imagine that would be compliant under these regulations. As I pointed out, we are not a verticalized solution. We have customers in virtually all industries. We have manufacturing. This company is a sampling company, a multinational global corporation. This company is a franchise tax service, like H&R Block. Liberty Tax Service has franchises everywhere. This company owns franchises and manages Burger King's, Pizza Hut's, over 200 different franchises, Goodwill, logistics companies, pharmaceutical, not-for-profit, you name it. We have customers in this area, both large and small. Our largest customer has over 3,500 users on the system, and we have customers that have one or two users. For the simple fact, the way in which the system is architected and the way in which it's priced, we are able to facilitate virtually any type of company or user requirement. The company that I pointed out that is the sampling company, the CFO came from an Oracle environment where they use the Oracle suite, and it's one of the products is called Hyperion. A very, very expensive product, costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to acquire and even more to implement. And the CFO has basically told us that CALUMO does everything that Hyperion does at a fraction of the cost, and in most cases better. This company has realized over 400 hours in labor reduction costs just in budgeting alone, and that because they're a multinational company, we handle all their multi-currency conversions very, very seamlessly within the organization. So what is it that we bring to the market? So our goal is to drive financial and operational information utilization across the entire enterprise. And this is making individual owners of that information also owners of the process. And we do that by getting the right information to the right people at the right time. And what this results in is the ability to make data-driven decisions. So what that means is that in most accounting reports, you find out what happened, but you don't necessarily know exactly what it means. What is the impact of the company? And then what are you going to do next? So with the ability to have all the data coming in across the enterprise, you're able not only to figure out from a historical point of view what happened, but be able to plan and move forward. and do that in a way that is extremely easy for people to gain access to, utilizing Excel and the web, very modern tools that everyone knows how to use, and being able to do that in an extremely fast environment. One of the companies that was on the previous list had a consolidation report from all the franchises that they were running, and it was taking over 2.5 hours to run that report with one of our competitors' products. They looked to an alternative solution. They came to us. We did a pilot, showed them how things would work, and now that exact same report takes under 30 seconds. So what are our customers saying? Well, time savings. Time is money, and people are saving hundreds of hours in improving processes throughout the entire organization, not just within finance and accounting. And they're being able to stop using spreadsheets to pass around budget input forms and having to mash it up. They now have a completely automated budgeting solution that is totally secure, and they're now able to do budgeting more frequently. Budgeting for many of our users has now become a very strategic process because they can make course corrections throughout the year and be able to drive budgeting throughout the organization very, very frequently. Also, that from just a super fast performance point of view, no one likes to wait in today's environment for information. Everything needs to be instantaneous and at your fingertips. Sizzling Platter, the company that owns the franchises, I love this quote the best. With CALUMO, the sky is the limit. So I want to thank you very much for allowing me to present CALUMO today, and now would like to open it up for questions. So Angie, are there any questions that people have asked?
Yes, we do have quite a bit. So the first one
Okay,
is,
great.
does CALUMO work with all versions of Dynamics Nav?
Yes, it does. It works with all versions of Dynamics Nav, and for those of you in the Microsoft space, you're probably aware that Microsoft has also come out with a new cloud-based version, which is based on Nav, called Dynamics 365, and we work with that and have customers on that product as well.
Okay, thank you. And does CALUMO have access to Nav data?
Yes, it does. Not only does it have access to nav data, but with the data warehouse, you can bring in information from virtually any other source. So there's no limit to the amount of information that you can have access to, limit of quantity or type.
Okay, thank you. And does CALUMO have the ability to work with Power BI?
It does. CALUMO's architecture is set up in such a way, first of all, where we use Microsoft products in the development of our solution, and the data warehouse is based on SQL Server Analysis Services, which is the preferred database for Power BI, and you can link directly through the Enterprise Connector from Power BI directly to our data warehouse and have full access to all the information stored there.
All right, thank you. And does CALUMO work with Office 365 and Dynamics 365?
Yes, it does. Matter of fact, in the demonstration today, I was using Office 365. And as I pointed out earlier, yes, we have customers on Dynamics 365. And so there's the way in which the product is architected. There's no no Dynamics product that we don't support and have customers on. So yes.
All right, thank you. And the last question that came through is, are there any internet browsers that CALUMO will not work with?
No, we work with all the browsers that are out there. Matter of fact, my demonstration today, I happen to be using the Chrome browser.
All right, well, that appears to be all the questions that we have for today. Please feel free to contact us or the team at CALUMO if you have any additional questions that you would like to discuss further.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Angie, and thank you everyone for investing the time with me today to allow me to show you our solution. And we'll be following up, and we look forward to the opportunity of bringing you and your team into the very successful community of CALUMO customers. Thanks a lot, Angie. Look forward to working with you and your customers very soon.
All right, well, thank you, Richard, for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call, or if you are watching on demand, thank you for joining us. We do have a few more webinars coming soon. Next Tuesday, February 19th, we have Mike Hoffman from Jet Global presenting on making Power BI a reality for your business with Jet Analytics. And then we have Chad Williams from Innovia Consulting. He will be presenting on the Custom Business Central Reporting, and that webinar will be on Wednesday, February 20th. And Focus is coming up in March in Houston, Texas. Focus is a 2-day deep dive training event to help you get a deeper understanding of your Dynamics Nav, Power BI, and Business Central systems. And to learn more about Focus and to get the details for this conference, you can visit our conference page on our website, and that's innovia.com/conferences. So if you're interested in attending, please register. And then Innovia has our annual customer conference coming up in April on the 24th and 25th in the Wisconsin Dells. Contact your rep or visit our conference page where it will have all the details for our conference. We would love to have you attend, so please register. The hotel rooms are going fast. All right, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.